Good afternoon, and thank you, Vishali ma'am. Good afternoon to Atul sir, Rima ma'am, and all my co-panelists. I'll be talking about thick choroid and what we need to know about pachychoroid. So, pachychoroid group of diseases are a set of disorders that occur secondary to an abnormally thick outer choroid, and it is now considered to be a spectrum, and it involves the following clinical entities. It starts from pachychoroid pigment epitheliopathy to central serous choroidopathy, pachychoroid neovasculopathy, polypoidal choroidal vasculopathy, also now renamed as the aneurysmal type 1 choroidal neovascular membrane, peripapillary pachychoroid spectrum, and focal choroidal excavations. Let me start by giving you an example. I'll be describing all the salient features because the underlying morphological changes are similar with this representative case. A 24-year-old male software consultant by occupation presents with a 3-week history of distortion and diminution of vision in the left eye and has history of using steroids for acne for the past 2 months. He's a non-smoker, non-alcoholic. On clinical examination of the left eye, we see what appears to be a fibrin, just temporal to the macula. The right eye was normal, and we order a swept source OCT. Now we have to look carefully at what the OCT is showing. Here we can see where the arrow is, we can see a serous pigment epithelial detachment. We could also pick a micro rip in this case. The fibrin area is correspondingly on the OCT is showing hyperreflectivity in the subretinal space, and there is a serous detachment, shallow serous detachment. What we have to look now is at the choroid. We look at the white line, that is the choroidal scleral junction. Just below that, below the pigment epithelial detachment, we see that there is an increased hyporeflective lumina, which is occupying the almost the entire thickness of the retina. If we look closely and measure the subfoveal choroidal thickness measured from the Brooks membrane to the choroidal scleral junction is increased 479, and the hyporeflective lumina are occupying the entire thickness of the retina, and also the inner choroidal layers are thinned out or attenuated. The right eye, which does not have any clinical signs, also shows an increased subfoveal choroidal thickness of 498 microns. But look carefully, the inner choroidal structure appears to be well preserved. So the first important point for pachychoroid diagnosis is an increase in choroidal thickness measured in an absolute value of more than 300 microns measured subfoveally, or an extrafoveal focus of increased choroidal thickness exceeding the subfoveal thickness by 50 microns, or even an area of maximal choroidal thickness is considered significant if it correlates spatially with the distribution of the Pachy vessels and with the disease focus. The second key feature, and probably very important feature, is the attenuation of the inner choroid. You have to keep my OCTs in mind. Focal or diffuse attenuation of the choriocapillaries and the intermediate Sattler's layer in the area involving the abnormally dilated Haller's layer vessels is what is classified as attenuation. This feature helps classify the patient as having either just a simply pachychoroid, where we do not see any attenuation, versus pachychoroid disease, where we see attenuation of the inner choroid. Moving on, fluorescein angiography was and we see the characteristic features of an expanding dot hyperfluorescence in this patient, and without any associated RP abnormalities. So this patient was diagnosed as an acute CSC. But look what the other eye shows no leaks, just a focal RPE window defect. But the ICG gives a lot more perspective. So this is the right eye, which was normal. What we are seeing that the choroidal vessels in at least 3 quadrants are appearing more brighter, they are increased in caliber, and there is associated fuzziness in the posterior pole. If we look carefully at these dilated and prominent choroidal vessels, we notice, if you look at where I have marked, that these tend to terminate abruptly, as against those where they are not dilated, where they have tapering ends towards the posterior pole. The ICG of the left eye also, if you compare the temporal versus the nasal half, we see these prominent dilated choroidal vessels associated with increased choroidal vascular permeability, as is noticed in the posterior pole. And this leak lately corresponds to the leak on the FA. So the third important characteristics is identifying the Pachy vessels. I have told you how we identify Pachy vessels and choroidal vascular hyperpermeability in the mid to late phase of the ICG. even seen in eyes without the disease, and can persist even after resolution of the disease. This is associated with increased extravasation of fluid and lipoprotein-bound ICGA from the choriocapillaries or the vessels into the stroma. Associated choroidal filling defects, delayed arterial filling, and focal or punctate areas of possible choroidal ischemia may be associated. Now, with this background, I will come just briefly about the other entities. Pachychoroid pigment epitheliopathy is considered a first form of CSC. You have focal RPE abnormalities seen on the autofluorescence, irregular drusenoid RPE elevations known as the pachydrusen, with absence of the soft drusen and features of pachychoroid. No subretinal fluid is present and patient is generally symptomatic. Pachychoroid neovasculopathy is a type 1 neovascularization overlying pachychoroid disease. You will see shallow irregular RPE detachments. You could see a double layer sign, but there is absent or minimal soft drusen and the age is generally younger. OCTA helps to shows us the tangle network of increased flow of vessels in this category. PCV, we know it is characterized by polyps and branching vascular networks. It has now been renamed as aneurysmal type 1 neovascularization because we know these polyps are vascular in nature and have the potential to rupture and bleed, and they are not epithelial. And because multimodal imaging has consistently shown the pathology lies between the RPE and the inner collagenous layer of the Bruch's membrane, that is why type 1. This is one of our patients which has features suggestive of PCV, absent drusens. We see exudation, hemorrhage, and this is the OCT. It shows us the pachyvessels, the increased choroidal thickness, double layer sign, and attenuation of the choriocapillaries or the inner choroid. ICG confirms the pachyvessels as well as the polyps. Now, one thing for PCV, we have to remember that we may have two subsets of PCV. One that is associated with normal choroidal thickness and the other with an increased choroidal thickness. Now, in over 90% of both the groups, pachyvessels have been observed below the presumed origin of the BVN, feeding the aneurysms, occupying nearly full thickness of the choroid, and also demonstrated overlying attenuation of the inner choroidal rays. Therefore, both these categories are included in the pachychoroid spectrum. Peripapillary pachychoroid. In this, the pachychoroid features preferentially around the optic nerve and the nasal macula. Importantly, we also see choroidal folds, shorter axial lengths, and hyperopes, and therefore this comes as one of the DDs with uveal effusion syndromes, but there are no choroidal detachments. And it has also been implicated, forming like a compartment syndrome around the optic disc. And lastly, we have focal choroidal excavations. Both the conforming and non-conforming type pachychoroid features have been described in eyes with focal choroidal excavation. Thank you.